Right, another year, another trip to spend a night on a real fishing boat, filming real fishermen catching real sustainable tuna. This time, I'm heading to Indonesia. As a cameraman and director, I started my career at Jamie Oliver's, which is where I met Bart Van Olphen, a passionate and dedicated entrepreneur who founded Sea Tales and Fish Tales, two Dutch sustainable seafood companies. Getting to our destination was not quick. We overnighted at a COVID-safe hotel in Jakarta. Then, it was back to the airport. I spotted some influencing in the wild, twice, before jumping on a final flight to Manado, the capital of the Indonesian province North Sulawesi. After a short flight, the mountains in the distance peeked out of the mist and filled me with boyhood dreams of exotic jungles, a million miles away from my world growing up in Essex. The air was warm and damp. We took the toll road and drove for an hour to our final stop, the Fave Hotel, a place to drop our stuff off and repack for the adventure ahead. We're in a region of North Sulawesi called Bitung. It has a huge fishing industry. Anyone who might have been to a similar Southeast Asian country is probably familiar with that culture shock of being in a place that is so different. It's a busy and dense place. The air is hot and thick, and petrol fumes mix with an array of sight and smells that remind me that this is not England anymore. There's people everywhere doing all kinds of things, but the fishing culture is everywhere here. After a short while, it was time to make our way over to the boatyard. Okay, it's time to spend another 24 hours on a tuna fishing boat. This is our boat, amongst a fleet of these beautiful turquoise vessels. Before we get on board, the crew load the boat with huge ice blocks to freeze the fish the moment it's caught. The plan is for me to capture the tuna fishing process. It's important for Sea Tales and Fish Tales, the company I'm working for, to have this captured on video because their biggest selling point is sustainable fishing. So by filming the fishermen who actually catch the fish, Bart can convey a trust to his customers. I think it's a great idea and very innovative. And also, I'm super lucky to be the guy that gets to film it. The lads had finished loading the good stuff on board and it was time for us to board. Although Arena, the company's marine biologist and impact manager, gets caught for a few selfies. It's actually quite strange for the fishermen because women do not go on fishing trips, and it's seen as bad luck to have a woman on board. However, they were very accommodating. What's just arrived, Arena?
Yeah, a lot
My peeing tent.
It's a temporary toilet for her just for one day. So at least just to cover. Good? Okay. Ini untuk di WC tutup nanti.
With Arena's peeing tent sorted, we were given some seasickness medicine for our weak western bellies, and then we were off. Got my room. Manchester United. Great. Snug. Chosen the top bunk because I was going to have the bottom bunk thinking it might be a bit less wobbly, but then I saw like some insects down there, so not interested in that. Leaving the bugs behind, I went to capture the shots of the journey's beginning. A sense of relaxation always comes over me in these moments, like when you're a few miles from home and the adventure's begun, and there's no going back. You've got what you've got and you're as prepared as you can be for what's to come. As we sailed away from Bitung up the Lamba Strait, the shoreline was magical, a rich and dense jungle scene. Even though I was on the boat, I imagined being in that jungle, like Indiana Jones hacking a path to a lost temple. Of course, this is just me projecting a fantasy. It's far from undiscovered. and also I'd probably be eaten alive. But the excitement of witnessing these beautiful scenes in real life that I've only ever seen in travel documentaries felt amazing. Pretty quickly, some of the crew get to work. The two youngest guys take the cover off of the empty baitfish store, while the older guy brings over the hooker. A hooker is a scuba diving regulator on an extended breathing hose to a compressed air tank, meaning they can breathe underwater, but without needing all the heavy scuba diving equipment. The main man goes down and with a large metal key he removes one of the plugs from the hull, allowing seawater in to fill up the container. I've never seen this before and it was fascinating. I really wanted to jump in there myself. I always imagined diving through a flooded house, and this seemed the closest to that idea I'd ever get. The water rose slowly as the guys unplugged all the holes and brought the bungs to the surface. Once it was done, they just boarded it back up for later when the bait is acquired. Captain's log. It's been about 20 minutes and we are pulling in to, I don't know, somewhere like a village. I think we're doing bait fishing here. I've got absolutely no idea, but ran out of battery, so swapping over, seeing what we can see. We were pulling into an area to collect bait fish. I filmed this before in the Maldives on a different trip with Bart. There, the fishermen actually catch the small bait fish themselves on their own boats overnight using high-powered lights. But here, it seems more of an economy, with fishermen specialising in selling bait fish to bigger boats. They use these small outrigger canoes called leaper-leapers that they have installed with rows of lights and nets around them, catching the fish overnight and keeping them in the nets for when the bigger fishing vessels come to collect them. I wasn't to know it at this point, but this is where things were about to start going quite wrong. It's a really big effort to get the bait fish. It requires the whole crew working together to get the tens of thousands of small fish out of the nets and into the bait fish store. You can see these big buckets being filled with fish and passed along a human chain to the bait fish store that the guys had just been swimming in previously. The crew hoovered up this first catch and then they had another one ready to collect. I wasn't aware of it in the moment, but the problem was obvious. There's a lot of net and there's not a lot of fish. The bait fish was woefully short of the amount needed for a successful fishing trip. I later learned that we had been gazumped, flim-flammed, cheated by the baitfish station who had actually sold our baitfish to a boat who swung by before us and offered more money. Anyway, we took what we got and we were off on a 6-hour journey to the fishing spot. Or so I thought. Okay, let's go and have a tour. This is Mohammed. Mohammed?
Hello, yeah.
Mohammed is one of the photographers with us today.
Hello.
Let's go into the captain's.
Can you hold it? Just hold it.
Let's see Irina's room. She has a captain's bed. Biggest one of the whole ship. And here's the main man, Bart Van Olphen.
Yeah, he is. With a piece of bread in his mouth.
Sorry, Bart. So,
very dry piece of bread.
Where are we heading, Bart?
To the Sulawesi, catching some tuna. Ikan tuna.
Right, let's go and see. Oh, Hoos's room. Hey, Hoos. Sorry, I'm interrupting your privacy. Photographer's cabin.
It's the best you can do now.
The best you can do. Hello, hi, nice to meet you. Okay. Through, out the back. Oh, hi, sorry. No idea what they're saying, probably having a right joke about me. Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you. Okay. Middle through. Oh, hi. Hi. Can I come in? Can I go and they're like sleeping right there. That's mad. Okay, well. Okay. Right, final part of the tour. The top deck. I don't know why no one else is up here. This is great. Oh, it's a bit wet. The weather dampened, heavy clouds rolled in over the ocean, and we sailed slowly towards them. The evening was now on its way, and the whole boat felt like it was falling into a slumber. There was nothing for the crew to do now apart from relax, smoke, and watch movies. I thought I should prepare to do the same. Back in my cabin, just sorting my bed out. Let's have a look. I have noticed a few cockroaches in bed, but only a few small ones, so that's okay. Oh, this is interesting. Is this a brand new pillow? Okay. Weird. Oh. Oh, this is right, that's the bed sheet. Let's have a look under here. Oh, there's a biggie. No, you go back down. Don't want to see you, can't get rid of you, would rather not see you. Why did I even open that can of worms or can of cockroaches? Delightful. Right, well. Moving on. Out back, the kitchen prepares dinner, a traditional recipe called woku. Woku is a delicious mix of fresh, super spicy chilies, shallots, turmeric, ginger, garlic, and salt, all crushed together into a paste. Then tomatoes, basil, kaffir, lime, lemongrass and onions get added to a pan and fried together. The dish is served with fried tuna and white rice. Bart observes the whole process and makes mental notes because later this evening I'll be filming him making this recipe for his YouTube channel, Bart's Fishtales. The whole crew comes out to eat. It was really interesting to film everyone in one place and seeing such a mix of ages, from boys to old men. Because fishing is tough manual work, they look like a real ragtag bunch, like a genuine motley crew. I couldn't help but wondering about these men's lives. A fisherman is a good job in Indonesia. As far as I could understand, they're all self-employed. Their pay is a revenue share of the total catch, which is paid in amounts depending on experience. They also get what's called a starting fee and an amenities payment, as well as some fish to take home. The day turned to night. It felt like there was no evening, it just went dark. And it was early too, like 6 p.m. We'd finally hit those clouds and we were in a rainstorm. The rain disappeared and everything dried in what seemed like an instant. We went and filmed Bart's cooking video.
Yeah, ready? Welcome at Bart's Fish Tales. Welcome here in Indonesia. Welcome to North Sulawesi.
Bart is a trained chef with a lifelong history with kitchens. He's passionate about what he does, he really loves it, and I've got a lot of respect for the fact that he pushes himself on these adventures to the middle of the oceans to put his money where his mouth is. Although this isn't a sponsored video, I definitely recommend buying fish tails and sea tails over other brands.
Yeah, give it a stir.
The food Bart makes is delicious. With work finally done, it was time to turn in. I was shattered. I discovered that I actually wasn't tired enough to ignore the cockroaches, so I wandered around the boat and found a great place to relax. Right now I'm on top of the boat, so I climbed all the way up, and it's great. You can see dots of light all around, and you seem to be in the middle of a bunch of islands, and we've been here stationary for like 4 hours now. It's a beautiful evening. There's a breeze. I'm sitting on top of a boat. There's a cloudy sky above me, but hey, I'm not complaining. This is it's quite an experience. Unbeknownst to me, we had not travelled far. For all the hours the boat had been moving, we were, in fact, not even close to the area where we'd be fishing. My tired brain couldn't figure out what was going on. The men go about their morning routines as the sun slowly rises. Some men watch the horizon, lost in cigarettes, coffee, and their own thoughts. We sailed past bait fish stations, and I guess they had no bait for us either. I still can't get over the beauty of this place. It's like it's imaginary. Suddenly the mood changed. The crew head onto the deck and grab their rods. Tuna fish had been spotted, and this opportunity wasn't to be missed. This was great news for us. It meant we could get our most important filming and photography shots, and get back on schedule. I couldn't believe the luck. We were about to catch tuna with the tiny amount of bait we had, rather than continue the search for this elusive bait fish. Everybody was in position, hooks dangling and eyes peeled. The baitfish man was throwing the little stock he had into the water, and it was only a matter of time. But nothing. Not a bite. A false alarm. I sat down with Bart for an update on the plan. It wasn't great news. It was 11 hours to the next baitfish station. We would then spend another evening on the boat. The next morning, tomorrow morning, we would be in the right area for when the tuna feeds. Then it's another 4 hours to get us close enough to the mainland for a small boat to taxi us from the fishing boat back to shore. These type of projects are unpredictable. The weather, the fish, the communication, they can't be guaranteed. But we were on a tight schedule, and there were other shots I needed to capture on shore that we were going to miss if we didn't go back today. I got frustrated. I couldn't control the situation. I hadn't slept at all, and then I remembered, oh, and it's my birthday today. So it's my birthday. The birthday jet lag was kicking in hard. I didn't share the same choice of music, so I wandered off with the camera. I stumbled upon a guy making fish hooks, which I thought was fascinating. Granted, it may not look particularly difficult, but it's a connection to the artisan nature of the fishing. Rather than buy a ton of pre-made hooks, some guy keeps himself occupied and the art alive by spending a few hours making a load of hooks by hand. I shot some interviews with the fishermen for part of my film for Fishtails. I had no idea what they were saying. Luckily, Mohammed was able to act as a stand-in translator.
Nama saya Grifo Makawoel, tempat asal tinggal Bitung. Umur saya 24 tahun. Saya bekerja sebagai nelayan, sudah bersekitar 6 tahun. Kalau melaut itu memang dari keluarga ada sih. Jadi suka sendiri, tidak ada paksaan dari siapa-siapa, dari taman-tamangan.
Dari dulu memang senang ke laut? Senang. Boleh cerita bagaimana awalnya sampai ini?
Saya pertama lulus SMK 2016, lalu saya suka melaut. Kan jurusan saya di sekolah pelayaran, perikanan. Jadi habis dari sekolah saya memilih untuk kerjaan supaya bisa bantu keluarga.
Nama saya Bijay Alexander Untungan, dari tahun 80-an sampai sekarang. Orang tua saya kan kapten dulu, sudah meninggal, jadi saya jadi penerus. Kita umur berapa tahun kita pernah ikut motor ikan, pernah jatuh di tengah laut dengan orang tua, bapak saya sendiri. Kerja di motor ikan juga, kerja di bagian bau-bau buton. Tidur di atas semenjak jam 12 malam itu kok bawa ombak, kita bangun bagian jam 12, langsung jatuh di tengah laut. Ombak 3 meter, 2 meter, sampai sekarang masih ada hidup, panjang umur. Orang dapat lihat kita jatuh, orang beli batari, Kep, ada orang jatuh. Langsung balulan cepat, datang ambil kita begini. Soalnya ada kita di sekarang ini panjang umur, Tuhan masih sayang kita sekarang, masih kerja, tetap kerja di laut.
The day gave way to the evening. The sea, reflecting the last of the sun's rays, was hypnotic. I'd almost relaxed when finally we approached a bait fish station. Out of the darkness it emerged. They're really strange-looking structures. They look post-apocalyptic. They remind me of that 90s ocean action film, Waterworld. Torches shone into the water, revealing a ton of bait fish. This was the payload they'd been after. The men take up their positions, moving lots of buckets full of fish into the bait fish stores. It was a success. I put my camera down and I logged off for the night. The night was short. Unlike the day before, it felt like the sun just appeared, rather than rising slowly. I was hoping this was going to be a successful morning. It had to be successful. It's not even my money that was paying for this expedition, but I felt like I had a lot riding on it too. As a filmmaker out on a job, you want to be able to capture everything the client wants, even if that thing is completely out of your control. I felt like I had put a lot of myself into this now. The jet lag had taken its toll, my mood had been rising and dipping, and the anxiety of not knowing what's happening had eaten away at me. I really wanted to get this done. The fishermen took their positions. A lookout man with a stick points the captain in the direction of the fish. Hard hats and head coverings are donned. It seems like only the older guys do this, and maybe they're the ones who've learned the hard way that a tuna on their head is a painful experience. The cigarette smoke puffs downwind as the men wait for the shoal to take the bait. Suddenly, quietly, and with no fanfare, it happened. One fisherman catches a tuna, then another, then another, then another. The tuna range in size, and me and Mohammed had to dart out of the way, avoiding being hit with a brick-like tuna. One after the other, they're plucked from the sea and sent flying 10, 15, 20 foot in the air to come crashing down on the deck and essentially die from blunt force trauma. it is brutal. There's no sugarcoating it. But it is the best way overall compared to the commercial fishing practices that use huge nets and decimate any living thing caught up in it by their thousands every single day. The men catch a lot of fish. These were the shots I was after. The action of pole and line fishing, the process of catching fish that's been used for thousands of years, one at a time. Bart was offered to experience it himself, and his first catch was hilarious. The tuna actually gets away. But it's a skill that doesn't require a lot of power. I got offered to have a go myself. I may never have got the opportunity again, so I took it. It was strange because it felt like the tuna came to you, and it was as simple as plucking them out of the water. The fishing went on for hours. We all got covered in tiny, shiny fish scales. The deck was smattered with blood. A huge pile of dead and dying tuna were collected for sorting and storing. They are an incredible looking fish. As far as fish looks go, they are striking. They feel like warriors, they're robust and strong. I struggle with feelings of rightness, of whether we should treat fish in this way in a modern world. And then I think that the world, despite its technology, actually isn't all that modern. This experience has brought me down to the ground level of whether I like it or not, tuna comes from. And this is the sustainable way to get it. The men are proud of their catch. It's their food, and it's their wages. The whole boat comes together to fish. It's a machine, each part doing their job. The boat is returned to normal, just a couple of tons heavier. Well, my one-day fishing adventure that turned into this 3-day epic is finally coming to an end. So there was moments of absolute beauty, being on top of the boat, clear sky last night, looking up at the stars, seeing satellites, shooting stars, breeze, it's been amazing. There's been moments of absolute lifetime, things I won't ever forget. I have never spent this long on a boat before. I've never been out at sea for this long, and it's been quite an experience. So, it's been fun. On our return to the mainland, I saw a small single fishing boat bobbing on the water with no man in it. I thought perhaps the owner had gone for a dive or something. I remembered there's some community that can hold their breath for 8 minutes or something like that, but this was a stupid theory. People don't just abandon their boats. The boat had taken on water, and the items inside didn't suggest that the boat was intentionally abandoned. The fishermen knew something was off. They recovered the boat, taking it on board with them. I learned that the knife being found was a bad sign, that no fisherman leaves their knife. I never did find out what happened here. The men had more fishing to do, so this is where we departed. A small boat took us back to shore, and I was heading home in less than 24 hours. It had been a unique experience. Indonesia is a place I'd love to go back to and spend more time there. It has so much to offer, and it's a beautiful place in the world. I'm grateful to have had this adventure, despite my expectations being completely upended and the fact that I was not prepared for the out-of-control filming adventure it turned out to be. I look back on it now much more favourably. I guess I need to remember that you've got to roll with the punches, and when you're out at sea, anything can happen.